it's almost like a little bit of a religious experience, like that is so magical. Whether it's knitting, I used to be highly into knitting, or whatever. Just find a thing. I used to host these craft afternoons,
Love it.
and
Yeah.
then yeah, and I wasn't an expert, but I'd be like, "Hey, let's all do embroidery this week," and then people would pool our supplies together and would just do it. I mean, I don't think we did it particularly well, but it was just fun. And it's the act of creation is such an important thing to do. It unlocks so much and gives you a feeling of purpose and happiness that I don't think anything else can. We talk a lot about self-care in this world, so you've got, the spa weekend and the girls are going to have their mani-pedis and, all this stuff. And I am not that girl.
Alrighty, it is time to stop hitting snooze and awaken to a life worth being, the fun and inspiring podcast that dives deep into what makes life truly fulfilling. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, a self-proclaimed badass transformational life coach for women over 40. Join me as I explore the extraordinary journeys of ordinary people who've transformed their lives from the inside out. Tune in weekly to uncover the secrets to smashing through your perceived limits and creating a life that's not just well lived, but totally worth being. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another beautiful episode of A Life Worth Being. I am Sue Willoughby. I am your host, and I am thrilled out of my socks today to bring you the fabulous Molly Lee. Molly Lee, the founder of and the owner of Optimistic Soap, believes that she can use her modest side hustle, which is no longer a side hustle, spoiler alert, to change the world one bar of soap at a time. By donating a portion of her sales, organizing fundraisers, and creating community, she's found a soul-nourishing purpose for her company that has made a difference in her world, more meaningful than just the bottom line. And I just think that that is the most beautiful thing. Molly, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you, Sue. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see all of Molly's beautiful soap in the background. And if you're not familiar with her Instagram feed, and I can't believe it, shame on you. But Molly, you came onto the radar for me, and I'm sorry I was late to the party, but during the election, and you were promoting your Kamala soap, and I wish we could have sold a few more bars of that little sucker to bring her into the Oval Office instead of what we have now. But we'll get to that eventually. Okay. But what I'd like to know, and I did kind of hint to the fact that Optimistic Soap is no longer just a side hustle for you. So congratulations on leaving your corporate job and going full time with this endeavor. And I'd love to just kind of start off with, people that aren't familiar with you. I love the name Optimistic Soap because we need so much more optimism in our world right now. And at the time when you were creating this, what was your motivation? How did this come to you?
There are several stages to my journey, and initially, I learned how to make soap, and I started making soap, and then I was playing with all the different kinds of soap you could make, and then the soap started piling up in my house. Also, soap is not an inexpensive hobby. It produces a lovely thing, but there's only so many friends you can give soap away to. So I started selling soap to friends and coworkers as a way to recoup my costs and to actually try to stem the piling up of soap in my house. And I created a website. I am a web designer by trade. So that was just a fun thing. And honestly, the site just barely paid for itself over the years. And then, it just sort of grew very slowly, very organically. I never did a lot of promotion or pushed anything, but it was always just something for me to do to sell a few bars of soap. I think actually things took a turn when I did actually end up stepping a little bit more politically into things.
Mhm.
I had a soap or a month, a couple of years ago, when the Dobbs decision came down, or actually it was before that. It was when Texas came out with that bounty on pregnant women, and that was really infuriating. And I'd done, fundraising months in the past, but that month I was like, 20% is going to fund Texas Choice to help women with financial and logistic help to get the health care that they need. And so there was that, and that did okay. But there was like 1 month, a year and a half ago, where I did a dollar a par uh, for every soap I sell online will go to National Abortion Access. And I don't know what happened. Someone picked it up. I wish I knew what happened. And I went totally viral, and it was insane. Over Labor Day weekend, I probably made as many sales as I normally would have in the last 5 months combined. I actually had to shut down my shop a couple of times because I ran out of shipping supplies. I was hyperventilating, and I had a full-time job too. So, but that was exciting and cool and fun. And it sort of solidified that it's okay to use my little soapy side hustle to use my voice. Back in college, I learned marketing, and, you have your corporate business persona, and it's all smooth and shiny and airbrushed and free of controversy. And so I'd always had my soap company that way. I used to have two different personalities, my soap company, and then there was Molly Lee the activist. And so those were two separate things that I kept apart. And then finally I was like, no, we're doing this. And I have been honestly richly rewarded. Also, it just feels so much more me and authentic, and I'm so happy and proud to just be unabashedly for LGBTQIA rights, for abortion access, for all these other things that I feel so strongly about.
Oh, that was a beautiful story. And I love that you were able to combine your passion and your activism and everything else and put all of that into a bar or two of soap, into a
Yeah.
lot of bars of soap, actually. I think you're going
Yes.
to need
And
like
so
mass
lucky.
production soon. Yeah. Because I saw your post recently that the new one that was it No More Fucks soap or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. I've got it.
It went sold out like overnight.
Yeah. It's my fresh out of fuck soap.
Fresh out of
And
fuck. That's it.
and I am fairly proud of the reel that I created.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it comes with 5 bonus fuck
Oh,
stickers.
nice.
Um, yeah, because if you're fresh out of fucks, I'm sending you a couple extra to just tide you over.
Love that because, a lot of us have not too many more fucks to give.
Oh my
This
God, yes, you have to get to that point. If you had so many fucks to give, I think we would have a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
This is an interesting time in our lives.
Yeah, I think, it's kinda like the word awesome. The word unprecedented has really come into our vocabulary in a way bigger way than I ever thought it would. Everything's unprecedented.
Yes, yes.
I thought there were only like 7 or 9 circles of hell, and every morning I wake up to a fresh one. Apparently, there's an infinite number now. Oy,
Right.
okay.
And we're what, 3 weeks in? It's just phenomenal in a bad way.
So that was a great segue. Before we go spiraling down that little drain, let's bring it back to you. And yeah, take a deep breath, everybody. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Okay, now we can continue. How do you stay optimistic in times like this. And I do love your Instagram feed. Your posts are great. They're short, they're succinct. There's always a beautiful message in there, and they're fun too. And I love the fact that it's not all heavy and harsh. And it's you get your messages are, like I said, succinct, and they're also positive, and they're also just fun. And I love that. I think, you gotta keep fun going
Yeah.
these days. But how do you
Yeah.
do that?
Well, there have been times when I wasn't able to do it. I mean, if you scroll down to the day after the election, I was pretty upset, and then over the subsequent weeks, I was pretty authentic. It's not like I came back on. I was like, "Okay, people, this is what we're doing. We're going to be optimistic," because I wasn't feeling it that myself. There were times when I was literally flattened on the floor, and
Mhm.
it took me a while to get myself back up on my hind legs. Um, Being optimistic to me doesn't mean that I'm sugarcoating things. It doesn't mean rose-colored glasses. It doesn't mean Susie Sunshine and everything's going to be okay no matter what, because that's not the case. These are not the times we're living in. Things are kind of fucked up. They really, really, really are.
Mhm.
But optimism does mean finding that area where you can be effective. And it's like not everything going the right way on a global national level right now, because that is not happening. But find something that you can control that will give you a little bit of agency and do it. And I found that with my Instagram feed. I found that with donating to causes that I feel are sorely, sorely, sorely needing extra help right now, using my voice. But even if it's just tipping that barista an extra $5, even if it's picking up the phone and calling your member of Congress and just expressing some upset, even if it's helping your mom wash the dishes, we can all do something that will make the world better. Maybe it's this big, maybe it's this big, but wherever you can make change, find that way to make change and make it happen. And that'll make you feel better. And it'll make the world a little bit better. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree. I think, those little things where, if you feel good about, yes, and we all have to take those moments. I've had a couple of weeks where I'm just like, ugh, I don't have any creative energy. I don't, I'm like, I don't wanna, I just don't
Yeah.
wanna, I
And
go,
that's okay.
horse.
You have to take care of Sue. I have to take care of me. We are not going to lie about it. Um, yeah, we have to take care of ourselves. And at some point, I had to stop focusing too much on self-care and realize that I need to do something bigger. Otherwise, I was just wallowing in it. I have to pick myself up and do a thing, and then I'll feel better. I do
Yeah.
feel better.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. And I do think that that is a really important message, because we don't have to pretend like it's unicorns and rainbows and puppies and, all that
No,
kind of stuff all the time, because it's not, like you said, it's not. It is a real thing that we're all going through together. I feel like
let's just call it a shit show because that's where we are.
we are in the shittiest shit show of shit shows right now. And I keep hoping to wake up and be like, "Oh my god, that was the worst fucking dream I've ever had in my
Yes.
entire life." And then I'm like, "Oh, nope. Nope, it's not."
Mhm.
So, yeah, I love that you can make a little difference by, and I think even having a conversation, having a conversation like this, and
Exactly.
yeah, and putting out messages on Instagram and whatever your platform is. And if you don't have a platform, you actually really do, because you have
Hmm.
friends, you have family, you can,
Hmm.
you know, not just have a bitch session about, all the time, because
Exactly.
that's not going to be positive. But I saw your post, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about the app. Is it 5 calls?
5 calls, yeah.
And I
Which I had
downloaded it
used during
last.
the first Trump administration, and then I forgot about it. Things went away for 4 years, and Life
Is
seemed
that,
awesome. And
that's
then
nice.
someone on my Instagram actually commented about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. And I downloaded it again. And it is so easy to use. It is uh, if your listeners have not heard of the Five Calls app, go and download it right now. You put in your zip code. It'll tell you who your members of Congress are. It'll list various topics like stripping of DEI, Elon Musk's goons, getting through to our personal data, all these things that you might care about. You pick one, you click, and it will give you the facts, what's going on. It'll give you a sample script, which you don't have to follow, but it'll just kind of give you an idea of what to do. You press a button, it calls your member of Congress, you say your piece, you click the next button, you tell the next guy or gal, and then you've done your activism. It takes 4 minutes. And it's effective. It is necessary. And I'm told that the staffers answering the calls have said, yes, this is important. Even though we agree with you, you still need to call so we can register it, so we can mark it. And it's a data point that they can use to affect their votes.
Yeah. Can we call it Republicans as well? Does it have?
Yeah, I'm lucky to live in a blue state.
I know. Yes,
And
you're down
yeah,
in Oregon, and I'm in
yes.
Washington, so I'm happy
Oh,
to be here as well. Yeah, I'm in the Seattle area.
yay.
We're not that
Yeah.
far.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, oh boy, there's so much. It's just so much.
It is. Yeah. And it is, I don't know if they're smart enough to have designed it, but it certainly, their actions have made it effectively flattened us, depressed us, overwhelmed us, so that the resistance is, less strong than it was. I mean, I think we're just like really blown under. And that's one of the reasons why we can't let them win. We can't let them win in this way. So we need to pick ourselves up and start doing the things that we need to do.
Yeah. And that is exactly correct. It's like, the coyotes like peeling off the weak ones, so that they can, break up the whatever
Hmm.
it is, and it's like if they can divide and conquer, then that's kind of the goal. And the more they, keep people scared and worried and all of that. So yes, you do have to pull up your big girl panties or your big boy panties or your big whatever panties, pull them up
Right.
and
Yep.
be like, okay, what can I do? And I
Yes.
think, people do
Exactly.
feel like they can't personally do much, but that kind
Hmm.
of circles back to you can make those calls. You can
Yes. Exactly.
you can take care of
Exactly.
yourself so that you can support other people in your community.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
You can put a yard sign up saying that this is an inclusive house neighborhood. Wear a little rainbow pin so that your LGBTQ coworkers understand that you're a safe person. There's so much that we can do in smaller ways, and we should.
mhm,
And I don't like calling people either. I do not like having to call a member of Congress. I deeply resent that I have to do it, but
right.
do it. I joined Indivisible Oregon, which is a local chapter of the greater Indivisible group. I highly recommend if somebody wants to take an extra step and hook themselves into a grassroots organization that has a playbook on how to push back against authoritarianism. Do that. Join them. You can be a member at large. You can just hover on the edges and listen in, and then, you know, uh, be involved. Get involved.
Yeah. It's that time again. Remember the 60s and the 70s when people actually used to protest?
Right.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yes, that was a long time ago. So I'm just trying to like my question, another question I have for you is how did you get aligned with, and I know that you've been, politically active for a while, but how did you become such a beautiful, strong ally of the LGBTQIA plus community?
Um, I was very naive about LGBTQ issues growing up in a small minded town, and part of a very bigoted church, honestly. And then, went off to college. And then I went through this odd period of my freshman life when one after another, my friends came out to me and told me they were gay or lesbian or bisexual. It was a very small group. So it was really a
You're like,
shock to
wow.
it was a shock to my tiny little brain and system. Honestly, it was amazing in helping me reconstruct a new worldview when I realized that, if this church is saying that homosexuality is evil, this is my buddy Anthony and my friend Michael,
Mhm.
I love them. And there's not an ounce of evilness about them or this. So, I took a little hiatus from the church and
Mhm.
just kind of reconstructed my being. And I I I think you're a friend to LGBTQ people when you know LGBTQ people, so it's as easy as that.
Yeah, it is as easy as that. It's we all know, I mean, I'm part of the LGBT community, and have been all my life. But you kind of, and it's funny because, I've been out for many, many years, and I kind of, uh, I won't say take it for granted, but I I'm comfortable, in my life and in my, being out and not being threatened,
Hmm.
uh, because of all the work that has been done,
Hmm.
over the years, hundreds of years, right? That we've
Right.
always been fighting for equality, and it finally seemed that things were, it was getting better,
Yes.
and now to just have
Yeah.
a whole section of our community erased letter by letter, right?
Letter by letter, literally.
Mhm,
You and I are both talking about the fact that LGBTQ plus has been erased from our governmental sites, and now the only letters left are LGB.
mhm,
LGB. We're
mhm.
okay with lesbians, gays, and bisexuals,
For
but
now.
all you other people don't exist. Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
And I think that the LGB hold on society is too strong. I mean, there's no way, right? Trans people, you would think that they were safe too, but their hold is a little more tenuous, and it is easy. They're the scapegoat. They're the people that they're going to pick on, and they're going to pick on them by making up absolute, complete lies about who they are and what they do, and making people fear them. Fear
Yeah.
is the root of everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, fear is big. I mean, you think about just even on a tiny, tiny level, like if you want to go do a thing, try something new, right? We're all afraid to like step out of our comfort zone to do that. So now if you tell people that, like, oh my God, if you send your kids to school, they're going to go to school a boy and come back a girl. What the hell? Where did that come? I mean, crazy shit like
Right.
that.
Just make stuff up. Yeah,
Makes
that
up
and the
in a grand
whole trans women are predators in your bathroom. Do you understand what we're even talking about? It doesn't even make sense, the things that you're saying.
way.
If
No.
there's a trans woman attacking women in bathrooms, that's not a trans woman. That's a cis man. That's,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
crazy. There's Laverne Cox, who is amazing,
Hmm.
was on The View, and this great clip from her. She said, she said trans people make up less than 1% of the entire population, and then she went on to say, we are not the reason that you can't afford food, and that you can't afford, housing, and that you can't. She said, I think when it comes right down to it, y'all are looking at the wrong 1%. I thought that was
Excellent.
brilliant. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like we are not the reason that all this stuff is happening. It's not about that. So
No, it's an easy scapegoat. That and immigrants. Pick on two sets of people that cannot fight back as effectively as, people with lawyers and stuff.
yeah.
So that's why us, grassroots people, all your listeners, we need to step up. We
Mhm.
need to protect these people more than ever because we're not getting it from up there. We need to do it down here at our grassroots level.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's scary times for sure.
Hmm.
Um, and I really do appreciate everything that you're doing in your
Thanks.
world and, to continue to spread the word. Molly, what else would you like to share with my listeners? Just it could be anything, something fun, something personal, something more about your soap, or I have a question for you. How do you come up with these? To kind of step away from politics for a minute, how do you come up with these beautiful designs? I mean, I love watching your process videos on your site, and it's such a cool. I'm going to call you because when I'm in Portland, I'm going to come down and see your see your process. I just think it's
Okay.
absolutely a beautiful, amazing process. How do you come up with the different, you know?
It's funny. You know, uh, you always compare yourself against other people. You shouldn't do that because there's always going to be people who are doing better than you, and there's always people who are not doing as well. But, but I do look at other soap makers and I'm like, I am not that skilled. There are people who are real masters of their craft and who are doing amazing, beautiful things. And I'm like, whoa. And then for their stuff, I would say, oh, it's too beautiful to use, which is what people tell me about my soap. So it's hilarious. I
So
just,
beautiful though, the
yeah.
individual colors and the sparkles and like I did when I did my unboxing video. I was so excited to get on my soap and I had it all laid out on the counter.
It's funny. The soap making hits me on so many ways creatively. I'm still newly retired, so I still have my brain where 40 hours of the week I'm working at my corporate job. I'm typing out emails into cyberspace and moving pixels around on a screen, right? And analyzing things. Whereas that's my cat. Hold on, just a second. Oh, good. Okay. Okay. Um, so my job was very analytical. And so being able to work on my soap allowed me to make something physical, like a thing that you could hold, a thing that you take into the shower and it feels good and it smells good. It, the colors are pretty. You could put designs on them. And then I got to design the labels. I mean, it was just, it hit me on all the creative, like itchy bits that I wanted to scratch, but I wasn't getting from my day job. So it's just fun. It's just fun. I just keep trying different things. Not everything is a hit. But enough of it is that, I just keep trying things and just love the process. It's probably not healthy, but you know, with the day job, I could only make soap on the weekends. And I allowed myself to make one batch in the morning on Saturdays and one on Sundays. So I had a very limited production schedule. But I would wake up on the weekends so excited to make soap that I would get up at 3 in the morning. Every Saturday, every Sunday, never set an alarm. I would just wake up. And then, you know, I do think that it was a little bit unhealthy so that I had a rule that if it was before 3 o'clock, I wasn't allowed to get up because, getting up at 2 in the morning to make soap, that's crazy. So 3 o'clock was my cutoff. And, 4 o'clock would be sleeping in for me, but I'd run down, I'd start making soap or just putter around, cut my soap, bevel it, label it, it's just such a joy. It's something I really, really, really love doing it. So, it works out well.
Well, that is amazing. That's amazing. I think that, they're, get up at 2 o'clock. Who cares, right? But I think it's funny that you have to like, no, I gotta stay in bed until 3.
Yes.
I
That
like
was my
that. Okay,
rule.
better. That's your rule. Okay, great. Um, but I love that because just the fact that you were excited, so excited that you couldn't even sleep to
Hmm.
get up and go make soap. I mean, that's amazing because I
Yeah.
think so many people, they do their day job. They do that, and I used to be like that in corporate America. I was a corporate trainer and instructional designer and so forth. And Sunday you start getting that drawed back down like, oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
we're going to
Oh
be on
yes. Oh
Monday.
yes. We
And
called it Sunday blues. It would hit
yeah,
around 3 or 4, and you'd be so depressed.
right. And I think that that's true where you're sending these emails, you're doing all this shit that it's like, does
Yes,
this even
exactly.
really matter to anything?
Exactly. Yes. There are
You know?
so many like busy work, and
Yeah.
apologies if any of my work team is listening to this, but they know there are processes that we didn't understand how they added value, but we had to do it. It was a requirement, so
And
do
so
it.
many meetings and so much bullshit,
Yes.
seriously. And it's just like, so congratulations again, having been, a corporate bitch myself, to stepping out. And what I would love it if you can, because I'm a coach as well. And I do help people get out of their comfort zone and try those new things, try those things that have been, scratching those itches, as you talked about, whether it's a creative itch or whatever it is. Is there something that you can tell people to help them understand that it's okay, or maybe some like, you know, what would some advice you would give someone who feels trapped in their corporate job, which is probably just about a lot of people?
It's
Um,
just about everyone,
how,
yeah.
yeah, how can you, start to scratch those itches?
I
Itch
think
those
uh,
scratch.
I think curiosity is a really, really good trait. If you don't have it, just exercise it. Just
Google it.
find out things. Take a class. Watch a YouTube video, but don't just spend all your time on YouTube. Go and do something different. Try to do something different every week or whatever it it takes. Take a drawing class, take a pottery class. Um, you never know what's going to stick. I came across a random video on YouTube of Martha Stewart making goat's milk soap, and look at me now. Oh my God, look at me now.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Look at
And
you now.
who?
That's amazing.
Yeah, who knows what's going to stick? And I'm not saying that everybody needs to find that hobby that's going to get them out of corporate life. I never did. I retired, and so you know. Hey, okay, you're gonna edit the cat out, right?
Maybe we'll see.
Okay.
It's life. It's
It's
reality.
like
Ah, oh, that's a beautiful cat. He looks, is it he or she?
this is Pip.
He looks bigger than he's also covering your microphone. He looks bigger than my dogs, to be honest with you.
He is huge. He's like 25% bigger than his little brother, and I don't know what happened.
He's
He's
eating all his
huge.
brother's food, I guess, or something.
Okay, so I think
Right.
I was talking about,
Yeah.
okay, so I wasn't able to like retire from my corporate job, even though Optimistic Soap seems wildly successful, or it feels wildly successful, because my corporate job paid for my benefits, my health
Mhm.
care, 401k, I call it the golden handcuffs. I can't
Absolutely.
walk away from that. So I just had to save up enough to actually just retire. And now the soap is still just on top of things, which is a delightful place to be. And some people, your hobby or whatever sparks you, whatever scratches that itch, maybe it'll always be on the side. It probably will only always be on the side, but just find a thing to to do, especially if it's a creative thing. I don't know about you, but if I find something that is clicking with me creatively, you get in the zone. It's almost like a little bit of a religious experience. Like you that is so magical. Whether it's knitting, I used to be highly into knitting, or whatever. Just find a thing. I used to host these craft afternoons,
I love it.
and
Yeah.
then yeah, and I wasn't an expert, but I'd be like, "Hey, let's all do embroidery this week," and then people would pool our supplies together and would just do it. I mean, I don't think we did it particularly well, but it was just fun. And it's the act of creation is such an important thing to do. It unlocks so much and gives you a feeling of purpose and happiness that I don't think anything else can. We talk a lot about self-care in this world, so you've got, the spa weekend and the girls are going to have their mani pedis and, all this stuff. And I am not that girl. If you're going to treat me, I mean, it's not to say that the massage and the pampering is useless. It is not. You go do it and enjoy it. I enjoy my massages, but that's not going to bring you real happiness. What will bring you real happiness is making a difference and having a purpose and looking at something a little bit bigger than just you and your own, the pleasure of your body or the pleasure of eating something. Find a way to give back, because I really think that that is the key to long lasting happiness. And I wish that people could see how soul filling it is to do something that is bigger than just your own selfish needs.
Wow. I can't add to that. No, I think that you hit the nail right on the head with all of that. And that was beautifully stated. And, getting away from the instant gratification, the self gratification, all of that stuff, because if you can get outside of yourself, there is a ripple effect.
Yes,
And you
yes,
have proven that you are, you started out making the soap because it made you happy, and on your weekends it made you happy,
yes,
and
yeah,
your happiness carried you through your work week to then get to that next 3 a.m. Saturday soap making thing, right? And
yes.
I'm guessing you probably don't get up at 3 a.m. anymore.
I still
Maybe
do.
you do, I don't know. Do you?
I still do.
Okay.
It's too exciting, Sue. But yeah, but
I love
you're
that.
exactly right. And then, beyond that, even more than that is the realization that I could do something more with my soap, with activism, with giving back. And then, oh God, I get so much joy out of my Instagram feed. I mean, people give me so much nice feedback and tell me that, that they appreciate my message and that they've been motivated. Like, so many people have downloaded that 5 calls app and said that they are using it right now, and just feeling that I've made a difference that way. Oh, wow. I can't even tell you how much that makes me so happy.
Well, it makes me happy too. And you have built a very beautiful community through something that you love, and people love what you're doing. And that's a beautiful thing. And by continuing to raise the universal vibration to a frequency that is positive, I think that if we're all doing something a little bit positive every day, it's going to make a difference.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Any parting words? I think you nailed it, girl. I tell you what, you nailed it.
I think you did. This was great. No, I feel happy.
Thank you. And I feel happy too. And I just want to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy soap making life. And I wish you all the world of happiness and success, and just continue to spread your message with the world. And Molly, thank you so much for being on the show. And I do mean that from my heart.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate the chance to talk to you. This was lovely.
Oh, thank you so much. And to everyone that's listening, please share this message with whomever, with everyone, with someone, anyone. And check Molly out. Molly, what's the best way for people to find you?
Instagram is really the best way. So Optimistic Soap.
Yes. Yes. All right. Check her out at Optimistic Soap on Instagram and be delighted every day and buy some soap. Seriously. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And this has been a beautiful episode. Take care. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Life Worth Being. I hope you found it fun and inspiring. And to avoid a bad case of FOMO, please be sure to click that subscribe button. If you love what you heard today, please share it with a friend and then hop on over to your favorite podcast platform and return the love with a wonderful review and 5-star rating. It would truly mean the world to me. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and on my website, links below in the show notes. I appreciate you, and I will see you next week for more fresh insights on awakening a life worth being.